Taylor Swift has been involved in some drama this last week when Dave from the Foo Fighters came out and had some comments to say from his live show.
I know we were joking about the Taylor Swift tour earlier. I know that she's on her Eras tour. You don't want to suffer the wrath of Taylor Swift. So we like to call our tour the Errors Tour. That's because we actually play live. What?
Of course, a lot of people were pretty quick to jump on this whole thing and give their thoughts about the situation. And I can't lie, the Swifties, they're pretty strong. And so even though there was an overwhelming amount of support for Taylor Swift, I kind of wanted to dig around a little bit and get everybody's thoughts. So I ended up coming across a couple of other opinions, like this one right here. Wow, I wonder what prompted Dave Grohl to take a little swipe at Taylor Swift. I'm sure it's totally unprovoked and not at all to do with his 17-year-old daughter being relentlessly trolled and sent death threats from Swifties because of this total innocuous tweet back in January. And the tweet reads, "Why can't Taylor Swift just drive like everyone else?" If you haven't seen any of the hilarious memes that have gone around on the internet about Taylor Swift and taking private jets everywhere, I can't lie, there are some pretty funny ones. But apparently, as this person says, I guess it's the general consensus that after this tweet, she ended up having to remove it because so many Swifties came after her, which if this is truly the case, it's really unfortunate. A minor shouldn't be attacked by somebody's fan base just because they have an opinion. But this is where I actually want to defend Taylor Swift a little bit. It's a really complicated conversation and people have debated about this for the longest time, but can you really hold an entertainer responsible for what their audience does? As far as I'm aware, Taylor Swift hasn't actively sent hate towards anybody, and even though she definitely has areas that should be criticized, like re-releasing the same album over and over again to hit the charts, I just don't think that she should personally be responsible for this, especially because it's not only her, it was the Dream Stands or it was the Barbs, which by the way, I just learned what a Barb was last week. But I think that if an entertainer isn't specifically going out of their way to send hate towards somebody, I don't think they should be responsible. I think it could be warranted every once in a while for an entertainer to remind their audience that we shouldn't be acting this way. And so if there is an area to criticize her on, maybe it's that she should do a better job with that. But I've seen people on Twitter over the last couple months kind of hating on her for this. People are saying, well, why doesn't Taylor Swift come out and support this person? Why doesn't Taylor Swift tell these people to stop? But I think that's a pretty hard precedent to put in place. Does this mean that every time Taylor Swift's audience does something, she has to take responsibility for it? She has to address every single situation that her fans do? To me, that sounds like a pretty exhausting task to have to keep track of. I think that if you're not specifically encouraging that behavior, you shouldn't be held responsible for it. And so with that in mind, I feel like Dave's comments from the concert are a little odd, especially because it's not anything specific she's done, but I feel like he's going pretty hard. To me, it seems like an angry boomer rant who doesn't really get it. Not that he's not a talented musician himself, but that he doesn't really understand that side of the industry. There's that snarky comment about playing live music as well. I think that live instrumentation is a really powerful tool. It can really enhance a show, but I don't necessarily dog on anybody for just using backing tracks either. There are different ways to run a performance, and I'm definitely not saying she's perfect at performing. And I think that there are areas to criticize her on. I just feel like the whole tone of this clip felt a little salty. There's always been the argument between analog and digital and how you should run a show. And I think that there are plenty of artists out there doing more performative dance type pieces. And under that context, it just might be a little more convenient to have a backing track. But to me, this whole situation just seems a little messy. Obviously, it goes without saying that Taylor Swift fans should not be attacking somebody for having an opinion like that. And I do agree that the audiences definitely get way out of line. Pretty much everybody knows on the internet that the Swifties are pretty ruthless, and you definitely do not want to upset them. I just think that if that's the root behind why he said what he said, I don't feel like he had to take specific shots at her. But let me know what you guys think. Most of the people that get recommended these videos aren't subscribed, so if you want to hear more takes, go ahead and hit that button. And that's all. Peace out.